Okay. Yeah. Excuse me, I'd like to call to order the March 17th Board of Supervisors meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
In 1991, he received an offer to join the Chester County management team. He retired from the police department in September 1996, and following his retirement, he served as Tredyffrin supervisor from 2001 to 2009. He's done many great works for the township over the years in service. He also had a public access television show for many years that some of you may know. Unfortunately, he passed away this past fall. And we wanted to add him to our wall of honor tonight with the board's permission. And hopefully, if his family's here, I'd like to have him stand up and give them some recognition for his many, many years of service. So if you can just put your hand up, that'd be great. Thank you so much for his service. And in addition, there's some wonderful little photographs that different people from this township had from his service and different things he's done over the years, so feel free to take a look at that as well. And if we could get a motion from the board to authorize staff to put his name on the wall of honor, that would be great.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. I just want to, just in case people didn't add up all those dates, that's 4 decades of service to the township. So he's been, I mean, he is very deserving of being on the wall, given everything he's done in the township. He went to school here. I mean, he went to St. Monica's elementary school, met his wife here, that grew up, raised his children in Berwyn. So this is a hardcore Tredyffrin Township person who has served us incredibly well. And I'm really excited to actually offer the motion to have him on the wall of honor in Tredyffrin Township building. So I'm going to offer the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations and thank you. Chief Beatty, I think it's up to you. We have a new police officer.
I appreciate the board's time and the public's time. Once again, we've had a recent retirement, and we went through our candidate list, and we were able to identify a candidate that we were very interested in, and we did the background investigation, and it came out flying colors. At this time, I'd like to introduce Officer Ian Joseph Richardson. Ian can come on up to the front. His girlfriend Tiana is going to hold the Bible for him. Tonight we have retired District Magistrate John Bailey, once again a former Tredyffrin Township Lieutenant and Commander here. He's going to do the formal swearing in. Officer Richardson will begin his field training program, actually began today, under the direction of Sergeant Scott Costa. Ian is a lifelong resident of Chester County, Pennsylvania. He's a 2019 graduate of Westchester East High School and later attended Alvernia University in Reading, where he majored in criminal justice and earned a Bachelor's of Arts degree in May of 2023, graduating cum laude. While completing the degree, Ian entered the Reading Police Academy and completed his basic training there in the summer of 2023. And then he was hired by the Lower Southampton Township Police Department, where he's been employed until joining the Tredyffrin Township Police Department. Joining us today are his parents, Joe and Kelly, sisters Carrie and Mackenzie, and a whole host of friends and family, and also officers from the department. So congratulations, Ian, and Judge Bailey, if you could please do the honors.
I, Ian Richardson, being duly appointed patrolman for the Tredyffrin Township Police Department in Chester County, Pennsylvania, do solemnly swear to affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America and the constitutional laws of this Commonwealth, that I will, during my term of employment with the Tredyffrin Township Police Department, perform my duties with fidelity. In my position as patrolman, I will uphold, obey, and enforce the law without consideration to a person's race, color, sex, religious creed, sexual orientation, age, national origin, ancestry, handicap, or disability. Congratulations.
At this time, Ian, stay there. At this time, Lieutenant Jim Slavin is going to present the badge. Once again, Lieutenant Jim Slavin was here to present the badge. Captain Moyer, some of our command staff, we have Sergeant Ryan Scott, Corporal Gasparo, Corporal Middleton, and got a whole list of officers. But thank you all for being here, and appreciate it. Thanks for board's time and the public's time.
Thank you, Chief Beatty, and congratulations on another officer. That's fantastic. Of announcements, property owners are reminded that annual stormwater inspections and reports are due on or before April 1st, 2025. The township has received a number of reports from property owners, and we thank those who have already submitted their reports and remind others of the upcoming April deadline for the 2025 inspection reporting. Now we go to approval of minutes. So I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the February 18th, 2025 public meeting. Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor say aye. 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 Any opposed? The meetings are approved. Township business. The board met in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss legal and personnel matters. We'll go to supervisor liaison reports. Supervisor Holt.
No reports tonight.
Supervisor Gussie.
Yes. The Tredyffrin Township Historical Commission met last week. David Blackburn, who is a Heritage Preservation Coordinator for Chester County, joined as a special guest, discussing how the county can support our local historical preservation efforts. He highlighted best practices, strategic planning, and available county resources. The commission is also organizing a North Berwyn neighborhood walk in either May or June. All residents will be welcome. Announcements and details will be made available through the township e-newsletter and social media. Other ongoing initiatives include developing an interactive historical map, planning for America 250 Tredyffrin, and exploring the development of a Tredyffrin Heritage Center at Two Portai House. The next Historical Commission meeting is scheduled for April 10th at 7 p.m. I also filled in for Supervisor Basker for the last Environmental Advisory Council EAC meeting in February. They reported a successful cleanup at Valley Forge Elementary on President's Day with EAC members and 15 National Honor Society volunteers collecting 10 bags of trash. Future cleanups, including at Hillside Elementary, and ways to reduce school litter were discussed. The EAC is surveying parks for long-term tree and shrub planting, coordinating with Public Works on water sources, and researching grants. They're also working with Penn Environment on educational materials about gas-powered leaf blowers. The EAC expressed support for the residential conversion ordinance change discussed at the Planning Commission, and they considered how to start researching potential zoning updates to accommodate EV charging stations. An Aqua Essentials grant presentation is scheduled for Tuesday, April 29th at 6:30 at the Stratford Library, focused on stream bank restoration and stormwater management. The next meeting will be held on March 25th. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Gussie. Supervisor Humble is not here tonight, but in her absence, I'm going to ask for a motion to reappoint Galen Day, Chris Robbie, Raffi Terzian, and Diane Von Moll to the Park and Rec Board. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any comment from the board? Comment from the public? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations and thank you for your service to the community. We appreciate it. Supervisor Wysocki?
Yes, I have 3 reports this evening. First, the pension trustees. Pension trustees met on February 26th. for their quarterly review of the police pension fund and the 457 plan for non-uniformed employees and the OPEB trust. After examining fourth quarter and other performance information, the trustees concluded that no significant changes in investment strategy were currently needed. The trustees will continue to monitor the continuing uncertain economic and market conditions to determine if any significant changes in investment strategy become necessary. The next meeting of the pension trustees is on May 14. Second report is the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission met on February 20th and considered two applications. First, the Planning Commission recommended to the Board of Supervisors the approval of the application by 435 Devon Park Drive Partners proposing an amendment to the Tredyffrin zoning ordinance, which would allow existing office buildings in the LI zoning district, that's the limited industrial zoning district, to be converted to multifamily residential use, subject to certain restrictions, and would also provide a definition of such conversion use. Lastly, the Planning Commission considered an application for 3 outdoor padel courts with associated offices at 341 East Conestoga Road, Zone C1. The Planning Commission discussed the proposal with the applicant and continued the application to a subsequent meeting. The next meeting of the Planning Commission is on March 20. My last report is on the libraries, where I was there for Supervisor Basker, who was away. The library's Board of Trustees met on February 27th. Here are some highlights from that meeting. Stacy Stone was elected vice president. As part of her 2024 library annual report, Library Director Mallory Hoffman noted that our libraries offered 1,679 programs in 2024, enjoyed by 31,296 attendees. Thanks to our Tredyffrin and Paoli libraries, dedicated staffs for the success of their libraries' programs. Mallory also noted that the library visits were continuing strong from 2024, as were paper circulation and e-circulation. All in all, Tredyffrin's libraries remain our community centers and places for lifetime learning. Here are a few remaining highlights of that meeting. The new book drop has been installed and is operating. The Friends of the Tredyffrin Public Library had another successful book donation day in February, receiving 4,000 books. Now I'd like to, it's my pleasure to move the appointment of Praveen Chielli to the Tredyffrin Township Libraries Board of Trustees. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Basker got it.
Excuse me?
Yeah, Basker got a second, yeah.
Oh, Basker's with us. I didn't see that. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Any resident comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Any opposed? Welcome to the Board of Trustees, Praveen. This is great. Thank you. And
Yeah, do I hear a motion? Yeah. Do I hear a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-10 proclaiming National Libraries Week?
So moved.
I make a motion.
Wait, let me just clarify, though, that you're moving ahead in the agenda, is that right?
I am moving ahead in the agenda to
Right.
keep the library stuff all together.
Understood, that's item K, just wanted to clarify for
Okay, yeah.
everybody.
That's what we're doing, yeah.
Yeah.
We hear
So moved.
Basker's is a motion, you're a second?
I'll make a
Thanks.
second.
Thank you.
Any comment?
Sure. So every year, the American Library Association designates a week as National Library Week with a different theme each year. This year's theme, Drawn to the Library, is very apt. over the years, our Tredyffrin libraries in Stratford and Paoli have become so much more than books, as noted by Supervisor Wysocki in his report. They're community centers that bring people together with programming, a maker space, a library of things, museum passes, and so much more. In designating April 6th to 12th National Library Week, I want to extend a special thanks to the staff who make it possible and the members of the Library Board of Trustees and the Library Foundation as well, as well as for the Friends of the Tredyffrin Public Library who give so much of their time and talent to make our libraries special. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Supervisor Bhaskar. Any other comment from the board? Any public comment? This is a roll call vote. Oh. What did he say? I couldn't make it out. Oh. He just summarized that the library provided valuable services to the community, that it's more than just books, it's a maker space, it's other programming that are valuable to all the residents in the community, not just children, but all the way through adults. And this is an important way of recognizing it. So that helps. Any other comment? This is a roll call vote. Supervisor Holt?
Yes. Aye.
Supervisor Gussie?
Aye.
Supervisor Wysocki?
Aye.
Supervisor Johnston-Pugh?
Aye.
Do we have Supervisor Bhaskar anymore?
Yeah, I'm here. Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Thank you. And thanks for the comment. I didn't realize you couldn't hear out there. So thanks. Now we go to Supervisor Johnston-Pugh.
I do not have any reports, but I do have a motion to appoint Ed Sweeney to the Zoning Hearing Board as an alternate member.
And you're a second. Any comments from the board? Comments from the public? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. That's the liaison reports. Now we go to the reapportionment.
Chair Miller, could I just jump in for a moment? I don't have a liaison report, but I'd like to thank Dr. Gussie and Supervisor Wysocki for covering for me. And I also have an EAC update from Anne Murphy of the EAC, which is that stream bank restoration and stormwater management permitting and techniques. There is a presentation on Tuesday, April 29th at 6:30 p.m. at the Tredyffrin Public Library. And Corey Trego and floodplain restoration specialist and environmental scientist Kenneth Fleming will be presenting. This is a free program, so please register to attend in person or virtually at the library website. Also, the annual Krabby Creek macroinvertebrate study is on Sunday, April 27th, 1 to 2:30 p.m. And there are many student volunteers for the 3 EAC March service projects. They were recruited through the Conestoga science teacher, Amy Hawkins, and we'd like to extend thanks to all of them. And thank you, I'm done.
Thank you, Supervisor Bhaskar. It is hard to hear, actually. I would agree that was tough. So, with that, now we go to the reapportionment committee update. Mr. Onestad.
All right. Good evening. All right, so the reapportionment committee met on February 24th. It was our second meeting. We took a number of, actually, can you share the screen over there? Thank you. So we looked at a bunch of there's different plans that we looked at. As a reminder from last meeting, supervisor meeting, we discussed the various criteria we're looking at to redo the boundaries of the supervisors who have either the west, middle, or east regions. And because right now the populations are off. So what we did was we looked at the various plans. We generated all the ones that are within a standard, maximum standard deviation, or standard maximum variance, excuse me. And we looked at basically all of them quickly, and we looked at them with our criteria. Just as a reminder, our criteria are the regions have to be contiguous, In other words, all the precincts have to touch each other within one region. Regions have to be compact. You guys would know that the opposite of that would look like a very gerrymandered one. If they're not compact, then they look like they, either dive into each other or they go off in little strings or things like that. We made sure that we're trying to look at neighborhoods, if we're keeping neighborhoods intact with these maps. And also we're looking for minimum disruption to the current map so that people who get to vote for certain supervisors now would continue to be able to do that and, have those communities together. And so we looked at these various maps. If we just look through them really quickly, just give you an idea, kind of give you an idea of what some of them look like. These are the various maps. You can kind of see what they kind of look like. So we discussed these various maps, and what we decided was, out of these maps, we liked 10, 11, and 12 the most. And so what we did is, just to make this easier for other people at home, and for other people who are here now and want to look at it at home, we kind of pulled them off, and now we're labeled A, B, and C for 10, 11, and 12. By the way, for people who want to look at this at home, just so you can find it quickly, if you go to a different website, go to the Board of Supervisors, and under the Board of, projects, where are the projects? Reapportionment Committee. It's right here on the left. Look at Reapportionment Committee. And then it will discuss the Reapportionment Committee. These are the criteria that I discussed. And then at the bottom is a link to the site that I'm on right now. So you can look at it at home and play with this and see what you like and what you don't like. So 10, 11, and 12, just want to go over them very, very quickly. So 10, all the maps away are contiguous, so we don't have to go over that. We like this one because it's very compact. The maximum deviation, if you look at the bottom left, you'll see that it is 5.52%, which is pretty good. Most of the neighborhoods are intact. That criteria is pretty good. The Chesbrook is together, high school areas together. M5 and M6, for those who know the precincts, we try to keep them together. They're separated. In terms of disruption, this one has a little bit more disruption to it because M1, M5, W4, and W5 will be moved from their current region to a new region. So it has a decent amount of disruption. If you look at Plan 11, this is the least compact. You kind of see how it like strings along. It's like winding, so they're not as compact together. Again, the maximum deviation is still pretty good, 6.24%. Neighborhoods are intact. Chesterbrook, this separates Chesterbrook. That's one neighborhood that's not kept intact. This one, though, has the least disruption to the current map today. The only precinct that changes is W3. So we like that aspect of this map. And then finally, for Plan 12, this one also has a good maximum deviation of 4.13. This one keeps some neighborhoods together, but some apart. Chesbrook stays together. Pugh Road gets split up, and M5 and M6 are also separated. Unfortunately, this one has lots of changes to the map. There's 5 different precincts that are moving around. So that's one thing we don't like about it. The committee is going to meet again to we're kind of focusing on these 3 right now. So again, you can look at these 3 yourself. If you'd like, you can give feedback to the Board of Supervisors at bos@tredyffrin.org, and we would greatly appreciate your feedback. Is there anything else?
The historic of our home rule charter, and began discussing the various sections, and we also talked about whether we wanted to break the charter into different groups. It was decided we were going to work on it as one committee and develop a report that we can provide to the public as we start to delve into the sections. We met most recently on February 27th, reviewed the township auditor section, as well as the role of the township manager and the ordinance part of the charter, and we're beginning to develop a red line document which will be shared with the public as we delve into the next section. So within the next month, we should have a red line document for the public to take a look at, and we'll have a report as we move forward in terms of some recommendations. And the main focus really is also to look at some of the language within the document to make it more gender neutral and bring it up to speed for some of the modern technology things that we're dealing with in terms of advertising. So those have been the main focus of the work so far, and we'll have more information as we begin to work through the process. Happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Barton. And any questions from the board?
Mr. Martin, I would encourage the committee to look into the possibility of requiring at least one supervisor from being from the minority party.
So actually that did come up in our first or second meeting, and as a group, they felt that we could certainly talk about it more with the public as well, but the group felt that wasn't necessary at the township level because we have general elections and we have 3 at-large and 3 districts and 4 at-large supervisors, so it's based on voting. The committee felt that we weren't going to add that to the charter at this time. Just a recommendation, again, the board of supervisors will have the final call on that, but we did discuss that as one of the possibilities.
Thank you. Any other comments? Any public comment?
Thank you. I will admit to not having been able to hear everything that you said, so I'm sure I missed something. I'll look at the video and I will catch up. I just want to know what provisions you're making for public participation before it's finally revealed as a document to be voted on, which...
Yep, so at our next meeting, we're gonna talk about that. We wanted to get some working document created that we could share with the public. So we've just really done some minor editing and changing. Anything that we will propose as terms of larger changes would be part of a presentation, and we're going to develop the public presentation as we move forward. So we're going to meet again this month, so I expect at our April meeting of the Board of Supervisors we'll have a more detailed information on when we'll have public open houses on it. But there will be a public participation as well.
This is very important. It's the guide for the township, and people need to be involved because I'm sure people have ideas that they have not had an opportunity to voice yet, and would probably, I'm sure, and I'll let people know that there is an opportunity, as you know I will, to do so. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
There we go. Okay. Arthur Zadrozny, 16 Painters Lane. I want to emphasize what Supervisor Holt said about a minority party member of the at-large. As one of those minority members in the community, I feel my input is valued and would like to know that it's even more valued by having someone specifically with that focus. And in a time where we're trying to value diversity and bring different sides together, I think that's an excellent idea, and wanted to just bring that up even more so. I think we do it at the county level, and I think local politics it's even more important to have as diverse and varied the number of people sitting at the board level. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Thank you, Mr. Martin. Do I hear a motion to authorize staff to advertise and receive bids for the Willis Woodcrest Upper Weedley Stormwater Project?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Second. Mr. Burgo.
Chairman Miller and members of the board, tonight we're asking the board's authorization to advertise and receive bids for this Willis Woodcrest and Upper Weedley Stormwater Project. As the board is aware, this project has been under design for several years. We are finishing the bid documents as we speak, and we expect to be ready to put this out to bid in early April. The township has this identified in their 2025-2026 budget. We do actually have funding from general obligation bonds as well as $1.88 million worth of an ARP grant that we received last year. The project includes stormwater drainage improvements on Woodcrest, and it also includes them on Willis, with a large stormwater basin proposed, and as well as Upper Weedley Road and Arlen Circle. So we have a variety of improvements in a regionalized neighborhood to help reduce stormwater. We're asking the board's authorization so we can prepare and get ready to authorize in April.
Thank you, Mr. Burgo. Can I ask a question about the screen? Can Supervisor Bhaskar participate? Oh, he's here. I don't see. We see.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, good, good. We just had, we had the map up before, so thanks. I wasn't sure. I appreciate it. Any supervisor comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Do we hear a motion to approve change order number 1 for the Contention Lane Bridge project? Mr. well, first of all, do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Second? Second. Mr. Burgo?
Chairman Miller and members of the board, the following request is for the Contention Lane Wooden Bridge. Change order request number 1 for Lancaster County timber frames in the amount of $3,800. As everybody knows, we have completed that emergency repairs for that project, but as part of the work, when the contractor took apart the wooden deck surface and the curb and the guide rail, they found that the old curb was deteriorated and they needed to replace that, so they did get us an estimate. We did review that internally and speak with Joe Duraco. The cost associated with that were very basically well within limits of what they would be. We did authorize the contractor to finish work because it was holding them up from completing the project. So this is a retroactive request and we are asking the board to approve that amount. It was a necessary expense for the project.
Thank you, Mr. Burgo. Any supervisor comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve a partner letter of support and permission for the township engineer to participate in a steering committee for the Villanova University, University of Sheffield, UK, proposed Icarus Inflow Control Retention and Urban Stormwater Grant. Mr. Burgo.
Chairman Miller and members of the board, the following request is for Tredyffrin Township to become a partner, to provide a partner letter of support, and for myself to partner. I've been asked to partner as part of their team. Villanova University is partnering with the University of Sheffield in UK to try to obtain a grant, doing research on stormwater, basically control measures, several of the kind of things that we have done in the past here in the township, where we have roadside infiltration facilities and rain gardens and things like that, to evaluate how that water is flowing on the roadway and how it can more effectively be captured and controlled by inlets and inlet control devices. So they're going to be doing a 3-year study if they get the grant, and doing research both in the UK as well as at Villanova. And as a partner, we have opportunities where they might be able to do some field research here in the township, and then I would be attending some of their steering committee meetings over that 3-year period.
Super interesting. Do I hear a motion? You hear a
So
second?
moved.
Second. Any board comment or questions? How did this come about? Actually, I'm curious. How did we get involved in this? It's super interesting.
Dr. Bridget Wazik is the professor from Villanova. I've known her from my affiliations with Villanova, so we see her periodically for conferences, stormwater conferences, and she had reached out to me. She's reaching out to some other state and county officials and some other folks to partner with her on this grant. So she asked me to, she thought it would be a good candidate for the township to match up, and she reached out.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Burgo. Any public comment or questions? Any other supervisor? Yeah. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve change order number 1 for the Glen Avenue Pump Station project. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We're currently seeking change order number 1 for the Glen Avenue Pump Station for MGK, who's our contractor doing the work. Total for the change order is $15,727. The first part was for unforeseen rock removal costs for $6,585. And the second part was adding an additional shutoff valve on the force main where it ties into the aqua force main for $9,142. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, thanks. Do I hear a motion? So moved. Do we hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to authorize dates for alcohol sales for the township community events in 2025. Mr. Duraco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Staying consistent what we did with last year, we're seeking authorization to have some sales at both of our movie nights, the summer concert series, as well as Community Day. All the dates are listed in the memo.
Thank you, Mr. Duraco. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any comments or questions?
DeRocco, answer me a question. Who is doing the selling? Is it we purchase the alcohol, or is,
We bring in different vendors. I'm trying to think of who she normally uses. La Cabra does a lot. They come in, everybody who's selling alcohol is insured. They have all the certification, whatever you need to do to serve alcohol, they do. We, Public Works sets up like a beer garden, so to speak, in the park that we ask people to stay in when they have alcohol, and so that's how we do it.
thank you.
And remind us who benefits.
A portion of the proceeds from the sale go back to the Parks Foundation.
It's a benefit for the township, yeah, is really what it's about. Any other comments from the supervisors? Public comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to authorize serving of alcohol at 3 events at the Tredyffrin Public Library. Mr. DeRocco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. There's 3 events that the library is looking at, have alcohol at. Coming up, actually in a couple of weeks, Tuesday, April 8th, Book Buzz. And then there's the donor reception as well as the adult party, which is their golf thing. Again, consistent with what we've done in the past, so happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? Any public comment? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to authorize the 2025 library cleaning contract to CleanNet of Philadelphia. Mr. DeRocco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Staff is seeking authorization to approve the contract with CleanNet. The cost to clean the libraries was $52,048. Staff has reviewed the bids and found them acceptable, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any comment from the board? Public comment? All in favor, say aye.
I do have a question.
You need to come up to the microphone.
I do have a question. DeRocco, is this for both libraries, or is this just for Stratford?
Both.
Okay, thank you.
Roland Johnson, just was wondering, how many bids did we get on that?
6. The lowest was $52,048. The highest, which we potentially think is a typo, was $278,665.23.
Okay, so we had, I'm sorry, I missed the numbers.
The low bid was CleanNet, $52,048. The high bid, which we think probably had a typo, was $278,665. The majority of the bids, 4 of the bids ranged from $56,000 to $72,000.
Thank you.
We're just talking about the $278,000 bid. We think the 2 was a mistake. Motion to authorize the contract payment extension associated with the Berwyn Fire Station Core States Construction Administration.
Mr. Chairman.
Did you actually vote?
Yep.
Oh, we didn't vote. Oh, sorry.
Contract.
So excited to approve it. Yeah, sorry about that. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Yeah, sorry about that. Motion to authorize the contract payment extension associated with the Berwyn Fire Company Core States Construction Administration. Mr. DeRocco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Staff is looking to authorize and approve formerly Bernardin, who's the architect for the 23 Bridge Avenue project. Now they're known as Core States. The cost is $36,500 total. Our portion of that would be around $27,000. This is, again, there's been a lot of additional work that's been required. Staff had a pretty pointed phone call with the architect originally, we've gotten the price down from where he came in at and was requesting. Overall, the cost, the architect to the overall project is less than 6%, which again, staff reviewed and found that to be within reason. And so, we're pushing along. Again, the building's on track to be finished sometime later this summer. And so, that's why we're asking for authorization and approval.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Draco. Do I hear a motion? Do we hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve proposals for Sallyport door upgrades. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Staff's requesting a replacement for the Sallyport doors used by the police department. For anybody who doesn't know, they're just open grate doors over on the side. So in bad weather, high winds or whatever, the police officers are out there trying to do their job and basically out in the elements. The doors, we've had nothing but problems with them. Our garage door company states we should be replacing them, so we want to replace them with solid doors so we can try to control the environment a little bit better. We contacted J-Door, who is a CoStar's contractor. Their price to replace the doors with insulated doors was $39,149. And we also need to do electrical upgrades for lights inside of there for $3,600 from Higgins Electric, bringing the total project to $42,749, which is under the estimated costs that were included in the 25 budget. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Fitzgerald. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions?
I got a question. Darren, when were the other doors put on?
They are the original doors from when the building was built.
Any public comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve proposal from Duke's Root Control for sanitary sewer line services. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Staff's requesting board approval for our 2025 root control program with Duke's Root Control. Unfortunately, this is our largest of the 3-year cycle where we treat 36,173 feet of sanitary sewer pipe. What this does is it's like a foam that goes inside the lines and it kills the tree roots to save us on a lot of blockages. The price for this under CoStars is $73,136. It'll be coming out of the sewer fund, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. Do I hear a motion?
Motion. Second.
And second. Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to authorize advertisement of a public hearing on Tuesday, April 1st, 2025 at 7 p.m. for a special meeting of the Board of Supervisors to consider and possibly enact an ordinance to exercise the power of eminent domain to acquire all or a portion of the real property located at 355 Chase Road for a public park or recreational use by the general public. Mr. McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The board and the public will recall that we had a similar motion at the board's meeting last month. Since that time, we have continued to do the due diligence on the property, which is rather complex given the way the Chesterbrook community was developed. It is a long time ago, and finding all of the information has taken a good bit of time. Each of the communities were developed separately. So what we were recommending and what is before the board tonight was a small change to the ordinance language, which requires a reauthorization. The original ordinance that was before you was for just a portion of the property. Right now, it is now drafted to say all or a portion of. As the due diligence continues, it gives the board the option to do so, particularly once it comes up for a vote in the appraisal, it gets completed. So because that's a change and likely to be considered a material change to the ordinance, we have to reauthorize and re-advertise the ordinance, which is now scheduled for a special hearing on April 1st. Otherwise, there's no change to the ordinance. Everything is still proceeding as we announced at last month's meeting.
Mr. McKenna, do I hear a motion?
Second.
Thank you. Any board comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman, I understand what we have to do procedurally for tonight and to have the special meeting in April, but I don't think I'll be able to attend. But regardless, I would like to say that us, the board, having to go through this process, again, we haven't voted on it yet, but angers me to absolutely no end. The public is going to have to end up paying a speculative developer for his very bad bet of $1.2 million. And this bet was that this board would change the zoning of a recreational conservation parcel to multi-dwelling family housing. The developer demanded from this board, multiple boards, that they approve 40-plus houses in a 5-acre parcel in an already compact area. We, of course, said no. We said no multiple times. He understood this, and he thought that they were going to just wait it out for years and years and years to pass until this property simply became a wasteland, and that we'd have to do something about it, and then we would approve his plan. That was the developer's plan. The board was willing to negotiate and talk and enter into good faith negotiations and see what can be done. The developer did not want to do that. Refused. He wanted his 40-plus units in 10-figure payday, all right? Well, the developer is now going to be taking millions of dollars of public taxpayer funds, his hope, to satisfy his bad bet. We've already heard it from his counsel, all right? He's coming against the township for millions beyond what the 1.2 he paid for, which was already way too much for a parcel that could only fit one house, okay? This is going to cost the township hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees. Years of litigation this is going to entail. And that's fine, that's the battle, that's what we'll have to do. Regardless, let's focus on what this is. A greedy developer trying to extort millions of dollars of taxpayers' funds. So get ready for it. Please come out to hearings and say for shame, for shame, for shame against this guy. It's really ridiculous. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other board comments? Public comments?
We have one, I guess one person, we also have one virtual as well, next.
Arthur Zadrazi, 16 Painters Lane. Supervisor Holt and I are in agreement on a lot of items apparently this evening, and I share your frustration with the situation confronting us. I wanted to come forward because of the change in the agenda. As someone who looks forward to enjoying the opportunity of what's on this facility right now that's not accessible to residents, I've been talking to a lot of pickleball fans and a lot of tennis fans, and we would love to see the facility back and available. Granted, it might take some time, hopefully not as long as it's taken us to get here. But I didn't know if anyone had showed up tonight who are pickleball fans in particular. I wanted them to have a chance to just say, hey, we support you, as frustrating as this is, and I encourage you to stick to your guns on this. Something else I wanted to bring forward, you know, I was involved with the bike park project a couple of years ago, and we got an appraisal for the 3/4 acre parcel. Now, this was on township property, which is more deed restricted, but that was, as I recall, something like $50,000 an acre. So even the 600,000 number I've seen thrown around sounds high, but again, these are people, this person is someone who just wants to deal, wants to pressure, and I would encourage the board to stand firm, do what you need to do to try and get the best value for the taxpayers, but we would like the facility back available to the public, and I know the residents would love to see it not becoming any more of an eyesore than it already is. So thank you for your efforts going forward.
Thanks, Art. Any other public comment?
Ms. Clark?
Good evening. This is Carol Clark, resident of Tredyffrin. I have a request. regarding this agenda item prior to your moving forward with the public hearing where you may actually make a vote at that time. I was wondering, when will you have and make available to the public the details of your investigations, the inquiries, the analyses, and the results thereof? I'm especially interested in what estimates you have for the acquisition, for the development, and the maintenance costs of this property. And I would greatly appreciate the opportunity to review these numbers prior to the hearing so that we can have an informed discussion and make the appropriate decisions either at that public hearing or in a future public hearing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. McKenna?
So on the township maintenance side, that's up to staff. I don't know. Once the appraisal is complete and becomes a public record, we will have that information available. We're not yet at that point. Hopefully by the special meeting. That's the goal, is to have it available by that time.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Yeah, I mean, Ms. Clark, just to be clear, we're going to disclose information as we have it. We're not going to negotiate in public with the developer, because at the end of the day, this will be a negotiated agreement. As Mr. Holt said, this probably ends up in court at some point. But we'll share the information we have when we have it. Any other public comment?
There we go. Ray Clark, 1564 Overlook Place. I completely support Carol's request for a really clear analysis of all the options we have. We could put a pickleball court in Wilson Farm Park and maintain it under our existing park maintenance agreement. We can enforce the township regulations on this property to ensure it conforms with all the ordinances for upkeep. But most important, on April the 1st, you will be voting on an eminent domain that will have some number of an appraisal in it. But in fact, it will be a completely open-ended liability for the township. This developer is going to take you through the courts ad infinitum, and we have Mr. Wysocki reporting on our market experts who are talking about uncertain market conditions. The economy is about to fall off a cliff, and we're entering into an completely open commitment. I think that is not responsible management, and I look forward to hearing all the investigation, inquiry, and analysis. So thanks.
Thanks. Any other public? Sure.
I haven't read it recently, but the municipality's planning code, to my recollection, seems to do everything it can to support the developer in opposition to the public. This is very important to people to remember, and we really have to work hard to oppose this kind of thing. And I think the one idea that the board, and I feel that this board will probably consider this very carefully, this whole thing, as you obviously have been, regarding people developing land in the township does not owe a developer a profit. It doesn't owe the developer a profit. And a lot of developers seem to think that that you do. And as I said, the municipality's planning code seems to support that idea. I think we need as many people as possible, and there seem to be a lot of people here, which is very nice to see. Usually the developer and his attorneys outnumber the audience. And we just have to keep that kind of stuff in mind. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Kay. I live in Green Hills. I grew up here. I was a member of Pick a Post pretty much my whole life. I learned to play tennis there. Please make it into a park. Please the eyesore that it's become has been just really, really hard to watch over the years, and this seems like a problem the township could have fixed a long time ago, and it chose not to, leading to the situation that we're in now. I know that there's a lot of economic considerations to be made, and I hear the frustrations, but fixing this as an open space is the right thing to do for Chesterbrook and the residents who've had to live with this mess for so long. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Ike Carpenter, 1330 Hayward Road. Two comments. I don't know anything about eminent domains, so I can't, but I do understand a little bit that it's supposed to be fair market value, and so fair market value is not necessarily what somebody can perceive or contrive or guess at. So I totally support the fact that we hopefully can keep that a little bit at bay. And the other comment I want to make is just to share a quote that you're probably all aware of from Edmund Burke. All that is necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men and women do nothing. So thank you for doing something.
Any other public comment? All right, all in favor say, we have a motion, we have a proper motion, proper second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to authorize advertisement of a public hearing on Monday, April 21st, 2025 to consider and possibly adopt an ordinance prohibiting commercial vehicles and trailers on public streets. Chief Beatty.
Certain situations were brought to the police department or traffic safety unit with regards to commercial vehicles, dumpsters, and other vehicles like that parked on public streets. In the course of trying to address resident concerns, we found that the ordinances that were on the books for us were not really sufficient to address these concerns to the neighbors' satisfaction. The traffic committee or traffic safety unit did some research from neighboring jurisdictions, working with a solicitor. They have a draft ordinance which is before you, which will be posted and then be discussed at the next meeting for consideration. That's all I have. I'm available for any questions.
Yeah, no, thanks, Chief Beatty. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions?
I do have one.
Yeah, good. I was going to say, go ahead.
Chief, I thank you, because this has been a problem that has came up ever since I got on this board, and it's been over a year. So I appreciate the work that you and the rest of the folks have done to try to help to get this resolved. I know it may not be the best situation for everyone, but I think that it will help. Because it's not good with people having huge trucks and dumpsters on the street and you can't see up and down the street. You don't, you're blocking people's driveways and things of that nature. So I appreciate everything that you did to work on this.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I was just going to add the same thing. Basically, we appreciate the hard work that it's taken and just the residents going forward to talk about the problem, to get it in front of us, to then, we hear it eventually and we can do things. So that's a good example of us taking action. Obviously, government does take some time, but we are proceeding. Any other comments on the board? Public comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to authorize advertisement of a public hearing on Monday, April 21st, 2025 to consider and possibly adopt zoning ordinance amendment to allow the conversion of an existing office building to a multifamily dwelling in the limited industrial district. Ms. McPherson.
Thank you, Chairman Miller, members of the board. The township, did receive a petition from an applicant to make a zoning amendment, as you discussed in the narrative there. So I could certainly answer any questions you have on the ordinance, but obviously tonight's motion is to schedule the public hearing to have the majority of that conversation.
No, thank you. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comment or questions? Public comment or questions? Sure.
There we go. What is the status of of this quote draft? How finished is it? And what flexibility do you have in making alterations?
Well, once it's advertised, it's not to be changed, but, I mean,
I'm sorry?
once it's advertised, we don't make changes unless we have to reauthorize, we have to re-advertise it. So we're approving it tonight to be advertised. We would then consider it at the next meeting.
Yes, I understand the process.
Yeah,
But
so I understand the question.
the actual specific document you're talking about, the ordinance, what is its, excuse me, what is its status? Is it a final document at this point? Is it the way you want to present it to the public?
We're voting right now to present it to the public, so yes.
Well, I know you're voting to present it, so I presume then that it is in a form that you want to present.
That's what I just said, yes.
It sounds like a silly question, but I'm just looking for detailed information.
Yeah,
Okay.
the way the process works is we
All right.
advertise
Now-
it, it's final.
I was really kind of hoping that we could have some flexibility at this moment, because there are a couple of points that I would like to mention, and I think I've mentioned them earlier, and I'd like to repeat them on purpose. It says only, item A on the ordinance draft states, only an office building existing at the time of enactment of this ordinance may be converted to multifamily dwelling. The developer who presented the amendment has already stated that most office buildings do not admit themselves to being adaptable to housing need requirements, which eliminates practically every office building in the township. The one that we're talking about on Devon Park Drive is an unusual, apparently, circumstance. It's an anomaly. Now, if the ordinance were written with the public in mind, to say all office buildings, well, let me say that it should include new office building construction. If you present the opportunity for a developer to build a building that could be made use of in two ways, you see, it reduces limitations on the use of the building, and it allows for the possibility of a change of direction for that particular building. We had a developer a couple of months ago who wanted to build a Wawa in a parking lot because he was losing money on his office building. If the office building were convertible to housing, he might have just said, well, let's make apartments out of it. If the idea being that a new construction could be conceived not only as an office building, but as possible conversion to an apartment building, which just creates more possibilities. It creates more flexibility.
Thanks, I understand what you're saying, thanks.
I'm sorry?
I understand what you're saying, I appreciate your input, go ahead.
I didn't hear the last thing, I'm sorry.
We appreciate your input, thank you.
Okay, but there's absolutely no way of changing that point at this point. The second point is that I have actually I spoke with the developer, and I do understand the problem of upgrading to a stormwater management, upgrading to current standards, which is what would be ideal. You can't always do that, I do understand that. Now, we did discuss the possibility of making alterations in the current system that would make it more suitable to current conditions. For example, if a pipe allows a flow of 500 cubic feet of water per minute, it could be reduced to allow a flow of 300 cubic feet per minute, perhaps. Now, I'm speaking hypothetically. Of course, I'm not an engineer. I don't know all the details involved. Even raising the level of the outlet pipe from the bottom of a retention basin to the top of the retention basin means the basin will hold the water longer and allow the stormwater to dissipate before that basin. Now, you see, these are things that I don't know what people are thinking about when they write these things, but you really have to think further, tangentially, and ways of solving these problems. Is there any way now? I guess it's too late now to make these changes.
Well, the stormwater specific question is really a planning commission question. So once we started getting into development, that's when that would be talked about. It's not in the zoning ordinance, right? I mean, Aaron, you want to speak to that for a second?
Yeah, I mean, this, yes. I mean, we did talk about this, his comments in the planning commission. And the way that I think of this is a use change, right? So the developer's not proposing any building. It's literally taking what they have now and repurposing it. Everything that we have in our stormwater ordinance deals with new construction. You know, there isn't really like a use requirement for stormwater in that case, in the stormwater ordinance. So it would be something completely different, I guess. You know, that
The developers proposed removing some of the parking. I mean, if you remove, he's going to add open space.
Correct.
And impervious surface.
Right, his proposal, you know, just so you know, he owns a lot, well, he doesn't own a lot. He has a lease for the land under the Pico lines there, which isn't technically his property. The original ordinance had a 10% reduction of impervious. He did have to move it back to 5 because of that issue, because he doesn't actually own that. He's still gonna do that, so he's converting that parking lot area back to a park area under the lines, but it won't, you know, it doesn't really count towards his lot.
No, we understand that. I do understand that. I know what you're talking about. I recognize that. I understand, and I understand what his problems are also with the parking lot, all of that kind of thing. But the problem is, what are we going to do in the future? Okay? And if you write this stuff with the future in mind, for example, we've had more 500-year storms in the past 20 years than we've had in the last 100. Yet the stormwater ordinance still talks about a 100-year storm as the maximum. We're just not thinking beyond what we already know. This is the problem with, well, I won't say that, it's not necessary, but we do need to think about this kind of stuff when we write these ordinances. What is going to happen in the future? People don't think, it seems like, never mind, I won't say that either, but it's a little frustrating to see that things are presented before they seem to be complete, and I would hope that this would, that the development subcommittee will put on the agenda, and I'm sure it will, to review the stormwater ordinance to make sure that some of these points are installed therein as soon as possible. I know you can do it. I know you can do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, oh, well, excuse me. Yeah, oh, we can do it from here. We can do it from here. Oh. Good, thank you. Any other public comments?
Just quickly, disappointing that we couldn't get some kind of stormwater management improvements. I understand, obviously, the issues that go into the decision there. A question that Mr. Coonan's question raised, if someone wanted to build a residential building in a limited industrial district, could they do that? I mean, this is not a conversion, unrelated to
No, they could not.
They could not.
And they couldn't do it in office either. Like some of the other buildings he was talking about converting, they're in the office zoning district, which wouldn't permit this. This is
right. I was thinking
literally
about
only
like a new building. Supposing someone knocked down a building, there would have to be an ordinance change, and like we're
Correct.
seeing here. Okay, thanks.
But you can change ordinances.
Since the mic is on, I'll speak in favor of this. And as a taxpayer, I've been frustrated for the 11, almost 12 years I've lived in Tredyffrin Township at the number of commercial buildings that remain empty. This is a problem, and life is changing. We need housing for people. We don't need office space. And I think this is a wonderful example of government providing some flexibility. And why it may only pertain to one specific individual now, developers are very creative people. And people are looking to find ways to solve this problem of converting these buildings into usable housing. So I applaud you for considering this step, and I hope it will lead to more housing, more used property, less useless, less property being left vacant. And I do believe the issue of stormwater is addressed. There's a 5%, allowance, so that there is some consideration there. So again, thank you for your positive consideration of this.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Board comment, we're done? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we go to board member new matters. Any board member new matters? Any citizen new matters? Sure.
Thank you once again. And I really didn't intend to come up this frequently, but Mr. Fitzgerald said something during his discussion of the root control in the sanitary sewer system. Clearly, there are roots getting into the sanitary sewer system, otherwise you wouldn't have to remove them. That means there are holes in the system. Now,
Basically, it comes through the joints. It's just little roots that end up coming through the joints. So it's not holes.
Well, there are openings. Otherwise, the roots couldn't get in.
Correct.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, and but still, there is a void in the sewer system somewhere. Otherwise, the root could not have gotten in. Roots don't go where they don't want. They have to do a lot too much work to make happen. They go around stones. They don't go through them. Okay, we know that. We can see that in the forest. So my question is, once the roots are removed, are killed, and they rot away or are removed or whatever you do with them, how do you repair all of those voids?
A lot of times what we end up doing, we go and we're on a program now where we do patching, and we do like 3 patches a month as we go through our system. We're doing slip lining now, the CIPP project you hear about, we bring up. So we go through the worst areas, and that's what we're doing.
Okay, I understand.
let me
So
get to
you
Mr.
do
Kuhn.
have a system for closing, for repairing leaks and that kind of thing?
Yeah, Mr. Kuna, he also has a process to understand how much excess water is actually getting into the system. So when it becomes, he's measuring how much excess water is getting in the system from outside. And then he knows when to go and do repairs in those areas. So, I think we're doing a really good job of handling this whole part of the system.
Yeah, this isn't something that we just started. This has been going on for years, so we're just continually going, and as we do video inspections of the areas, we take a look at the worst ones and we put patches on them, so from the inside.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Any other citizen new matters?
I was reminded by Mr. Wysocki's comment about the pension board trustees. And for some random reason, I can't remember what, I was looking at the website a few weeks ago, and there are no minutes from the board of trustees since like 2022. Is there some policy decision about that?
Patricia and I will check that and make sure it's updated.
Thank you.
Probably lack of interest. You're probably the first one to identify that we weren't doing. I don't know. I don't know.
It's not a hot item.
Yeah. Any other?
It will be getting hotter.
Yeah. Any? No, I don't think so. Anyway, any other citizen new matters? Sure.
Approach the bench or not? Sure. Yes. My name is Richard Stratton. I own a property at 1411 Berwyn-Paley Road in Paley. My neighbor at 94 Glen Avenue has bamboo on the property line. And most of the time, it's a fire hazard in dry weather. And what we saw in California, I don't want to happen to my house. So I spend at least 40 hours annually trying to trim it back. And it's costly to get it, hauled away. I've been doing it for 15 years. And I'd like to see a township ordinance come into effect to prevent, an issue like this. Again, I think it's a fire hazard. And I'd like to see the township take up an ordinance to prevent bamboo at least that close to property line. The bamboo is only 15 feet from my house. And in weather, it creates a cave effect where, it falls on the house and harms the shingles as well. So I'm hoping, you can provide me with some relief from this issue.
Thanks for the photos. It looks like it's actually touching your house.
Yes,
Yeah, no, I get it, thanks.
Can I ask you a question?
yes.
Have you talked to the neighbors about them cutting it or having it cut down on your sides and it's just on their side? I mean, has that?
Yes, I have twice over the past 15 years.
And do they have a problem with you cutting it down or?
No, when it goes over my fence line, I can cut it.
Right.
But the way it works is it can be upright. It's 38 feet high in most locations. And if we have inclement weather, it'll
It'll come down.
it'll lean on the property.
So if I'm understanding you right, you would like for it to be cut down completely?
Yeah, I'd like it removed because it's a continual issue.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was a township ordinance that prevented it. That would solve the issue.
So I can see that there are, I just did a quick look to know, does anyone have ordinances about bamboo? And I see that they do, like Radnor has one. So I think it would be worth having the ordinance committee just do a little look, knowing that some neighboring townships have some kind of restrictions. So that's something we can look into. Thank you.
I knew that.
We'll take it up with the ordinance committee, subcommittee, and see what is done.
Okay.
So, I see, the pictures are super helpful, by the way.
Yeah, thank
to see
you.
what it looks like, so.
Yeah, I think in this case, a picture's worth 1,000 words. I couldn't.
No, I didn't really get it until now that I see it. I'm like, oh, all right,
Okay.
I get his point. Otherwise,
Good.
is it really a problem?
And
No.
my main concern is like July, August, where it can be extremely dry. If it catches fire, my house is going, so.
All right, so I can tell you, we'll, as Supervisor Gussie just said, we'll take it up at the ordinance subcommittee and see what can or can't be done here.
Okay,
All right.
thank you very much.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Any other resident new business or citizen new business? All right, seeing none, the next meeting is scheduled for April 21st, 2025. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? What?
So moved.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have a special meeting on April 1st. Thank you. Shoot, thank you for reminding me of that. All right, the next meeting is April 1st at 7 p.m. That'll be a special meeting, and then the next regular meeting is the 21st. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.